Hello, here's Cherry again with some of my Cricut clocks. This one's a bit of an experiment for me because I usually use my Canon camera, my big tripod, Cyberlink, editing software and everything before uploading videos to YouTube, and it takes quite a long time, and it takes a long time to upload as well. I don't really know why, but anyway. I've seen people making YouTube videos with their camera on their phone, so I've got my iPhone on a little tripod here and I'm giving it a go, and if it works out to be a lot quicker and easier, I'll be able to upload them a little more often. So I'm talking about this clock. This is my Southwestern or Native American clock, and it's quite a simple one. This one is made from chipboard, and it's about 7 inches by 5 inches by 3.5 inches wide, and I'll tell you how I put it together, and I'll put a link at the end of the video showing where you can get to it on Design Space and make your own if you like to. So before that, I'm just going to tell you the chipboard I use. Actually, this is a piece that was attached to my Cricut mat. I quite often stick it down with a little bit of extra washi tape or masking tape because it can slide sometimes. And although the Cricut will cut chipboard, I put it on the chipboard cutting, and this time I had to run it through twice. It's a little reluctant, which is why I'm looking forward to my Cricut Maker, which I'm ordering as soon as it's out, because it was my birthday this month and I've been authorised by my husband to get one. But I tend to cut the more difficult bits that I wouldn't like to try and use an X-Acto knife for, like the back of the clock, which has the door piece that comes out of it. I cut that on the Cricut, and it did cut it this time quite easily. But sometimes when it's cutting chipboard, it decides to give up in the middle. So that's why I'm looking forward to the new one. And in this case, because the pieces were all very straightforward, either 7 inches by 5 inches or 3.5 inches by 7 inches, I cut all and this piece is 3.5 by 5. I cut all those pieces by hand. Because it's just easier and quicker sometimes. So we'll see how that goes. And they are all these pieces of chipboard are joined together with joining strips or construction strips, which look like this, only longer or wider depending which piece you have. The wider pieces, they're scored and you fold them in half, all of them. And the wider pieces I use on the inside of the clock, so I join this piece to this piece on the inside with the wider construction strip. I use white glue and I just glue them together and do that all the way around for all the pieces. I usually, before I put the whole thing together so that you have to come in through the back to get to the clock and the clock magnet, I usually put the clock piece onto the chipboard from the back, and I usually glue it into place as well because it'll stop it moving around. And the battery part goes at the back, as you can see, at the bottom rather, as you can see, and there's the little adjustment thing to change the hands, so that's what the door in the back is for. So that's what I did with that. And what I was going to tell you, oh yes, the clock parts, the clock movement and the feet on this clock are from AliExpress. Very inexpensive. The clock part was about $1 and the feet were about $1.27 or something for 4. I often order from AliExpress. I do go to Joann's and Michael's and Hobby Lobby and Amazon, and I take coupons to Joann's, and I often buy Tim Holtz feet for my clocks. But for a change, AliExpress I haven't had any problems with. I only order small craft items from them. I've had metal cutting dies, little hinges, little latches for these sort of projects, and feet and clock pieces. But they've all turned up much quicker than I expected. None of them gone missing. They've all been reasonable quality, very inexpensive, and they start to turn up after about a week. When I'm ordering from AliExpress, I usually order lots of things together because, as I say, you know, you can get for about $25–30, you can get loads of bits and pieces, and they all start turning up usually in separate little packets about a week later, and carry on turning up in my mailbox for the next couple of weeks. So I use them from time to time. So when you've got your chipboard base together with your clock attached to the inside and your construction strips all on the outside, the narrower ones will go on the outside joins like that. That gives it a bit more strength and makes it look neater as well on the outside. Then I used Cricut faux leather. This one came on a roll, and it's almost got a sort of bronzy look to it, you can see that. And I attached all the leather bits. Next, I used Fabri-Tac glue, because sometimes when you use white glue for something like this, you get lines of glue showing through what you're gluing to it. I also use it for paper, so that it doesn't warp and it doesn't show through like sometimes white glue does. But to put the rest together, I did use this, although you could use ordinary white glue as well, but the fine tip helps with some of these pieces. Now the decorative pieces, when you look at the file online, you'll find you've got an option to either print and cut them, which is what these are, or make them and cut the pieces out. And I did both, and then when I came to make it, I actually preferred the cut pieces. I thought they stood out more. But it was useful to have these to see where all the little bits should go on the pieces I was sticking together. And these won't be wasted because this is a gift for a friend, and it's her birthday in a few days' time, and I'll use these on the birthday card. I also did a couple of extra Sothwestern pieces. I rather liked this totem pole, but I didn't find anywhere to put it without making the clock look cluttered. I had a wolf howling at the moon, and I had a buffalo. You'll see they're all double-sided because I thought about putting them on the top. But I shall use those in the card as well, and maybe I'll do a box card or easel card maybe, so that they'll stand up and they'll look good anyway, I think. All the pieces like the dream catcher, the eagle, the snake and the horse, they're all backed with a couple of layers of cream cardstock. I actually used, for all the cardstock pieces, I just used Recollections 65-pound cardstock from Michael's. It cuts very well on the Cricut, and when it's layered up and it's nice and smooth as well, it works out pretty well. The three feathers are all double-sided as well, and I just tied them together with a little bit of baker's twine. I stuck them together first, actually, in the pattern I wanted them to be in the layers, and then tied a little piece of baker's string around the top for decoration, and then glued them to the front of the clock. When you are doing things, I always forget myself, you've got to think which layer comes first. So for example, this one at the bottom, this decorative layer, goes underneath the dream catcher, but this one goes over the top of the dream catcher. So before you stick all the pieces down, think about where they're going to go, because I'm always having to lift something off or put it back on afterwards, because I did them in the wrong order. one last thing, the catch at the back is just little magnets. There's two small magnets because this is quite narrow under here, under the leather piece, and then this decorative square piece has the magnets sandwiched in between. And make sure that before you put them in, that they're in the right place and the right polarity, and then that works. I don't bother too much about putting anything, hinges and catches that are too permanent, unless I want them for decorative purposes, because this door is only going to be accessed when you want to change the battery in your clock or change the time. These little pieces I just put on as decorative. They don't do anything at all. They're meant to look like little hinges. In fact, and I forgot to tell you this, I attached this door with masking tape on the inside and on the outside before I put the decorative pieces on the top, and that seems to work perfectly well. It was just a cream coloured or natural coloured masking tape, which actually came from the dollar store. And I think that's about all I have to tell you. I'll just turn it down so you can have one last look at the clock rather than me. And that's it. So if that works out okay, I will upload this video, or I might upload it, but if I don't like it I might delete it, so and do it again. We'll see. So that's bye from me, and that's it. Bye.